Okay, so let's get to the electronics. So we have ramps board inside of here. That we have to configure. Inside the ramps board there's jumpers. So the jumpers control how many steps to turn the motor for every pulse it receives. So the board has 5 steppers. So these are the stepper drivers. So these are eventually going to go in here. It fits 5 of them, but you only need 4. If you're doing a 2-color system, then you use the 5th. But we have to put the jumpers in there to tell it to do like 1/16 stepping. There's like quarter stepping, half stepping. But inside of each of these blocks there's 3 sets of pins, and you just need to close all the pins. Okay, so those are set. So now we have to prep the stepper boards, and actually I like to put these on the ramps board first and then stick the heatsink on. Okay, so motors, they'll plug in right above them. The temperature sensors are right above the Z motor, and we just use one of them in ours. So this guy will just be connected to the first set of thermistor connections. It's labeled T0. All of our switches are connected up here. There's 3 pins, but we'll just use the top 2. And they're X, Y, Z, and then there's 2 sets. So 2 sets for X, 2 sets for Y, 2 sets for Z. Min max, so it's X min, X max, Y min, Y max, Z min, Z max. So in our configuration we have a max for our X. So we'd skip the min and plug into max. For the Y, that was actually a min. So we connect right to that first one. And then for the Z, we're at max. So you skip the min, max. So it's going to be like skip a set of pins and then connector, connector. And then skip 2 sets of pins and then connector. So we will plug this into the Arduino. This can be very difficult, and sometimes these leads right here will actually bump onto this connector. So I typically trim them a bit. So it's just the 2 middle ones. Should be good. Okay, so there's some screws that can go through there. Looks like we'll just use 2 of them, I think. These are number 4 screws. So that'll go on the inside wall here. And then we'll also mount the power supply underneath it. So I've got that in place, so I can hook up the limit switches. Then we have the temperature sensor. We can move to the power cords. So next we can do the motors, the motor wires. paper. Okay, so these go in these 10, two top ones. We have a couple of wires to use for that fan. And we'll just put some electrical tape over here so that those don't go anywhere, touch each other. So here we can go through and start zip tying these wires together to sort of clean up all the mess. And here we are, a little bit cleaned up. It still has a lot of improvements to make, but this should let us continue without like making a mess of everything. So I'll turn this back around.